Attention listeners, this podcast is rated R. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to episode 9 of the Lit Talkers podcast. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Cassie.
I'm Holly.
I'm Tara.
And today we are discussing audiobooks. Everything good, everything bad, everything about audiobooks. Who wants to lead us off? Or do we want to say what we're reading right now?
I don't even know what I'm reading.
What
I'm getting ready to start The Prisoner's Throne
Ooh.
by Holly Black. It finally came through on my library. Hold on, Libby. Audiobooks.
Well, while Holly's figuring out what she's going to read, I am doing the tandem read of Sarah J. Maas. I am in Empire Storms and Tower of Dawn, and it's slowly killing me. So it's fine.
Okay.
In a good way.
You go.
In a good way.
I'm still finishing the last books that I told you all I was reading / listening because I
And that's okay.
stopped for mangas and
No
the
change.
buddy read. So
Perfectly fine.
Yeah, I've been reading Unbelievable by Sarah Shepard for like the past week and a half. It's the fourth book in the Pretty Little Liars series.
Oh, okay.
Second. It's
You're
the
still-
third or fourth.
You're still holding on to Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah, but I think this is going to be my last one. I'm starting to
Are
get
you done?
I'm starting to be like, okay, this is really repetitive. But it got me out of a slump, so that's fine. And then I'm also reading Foxtail by Sarah Hunt, who is a local author.
Yeah.
woo-hoo.
I'm not gonna have time to read that one. I am like, this tandem read is like 1,400 pages between the two
I
books,
could
and I'm
never.
over here like my brain is just like, phew. So
Yeah, no,
Foxtail will have to wait for a different month, but
too much.
So,
Yeah.
audiobooks. Holly.
we know this is like your time to shine because you have been begging us in our group chat. For anyone who is tuning in, we have some beef with audiobooks, and we have some not beef, but we have some love, and we also have some beef.
Yes.
And Holly has asked for this soapbox for how long now?
Since we started.
I mean, she's been
Yeah.
like, give me my crown. I'm ready to take over.
This is something that I feel really passionately about. Because I mostly do audiobooks. And to me, audiobooks have never been counted as not reading until somebody else said that to me. And then I realized just how stigmatized they are. And I think that's crazy because I can, I was telling somebody, I was like, oh, I've read, 20 books this year. And they were like, well, how many did you listen to? And I was
Ew.
like, I don't really think, I don't think that matters.
We don't like that mentality over
Yeah,
here.
and they do audiobooks too. So I was like, why does it not count? Because
Right.
in my mind, if I can have a conversation with you and we can talk about exactly the same thing, how do you know if I listened to it or read it?
I agree.
Like, how do you know? And for me, it's just so much more convenient. I can listen while I'm driving, while I'm doing laundry, while I'm playing Animal Crossing, while I'm cleaning my house. I can just do so much more. And physical books are okay, but they always make me fall asleep. And if I'm reading on my phone or a tablet and I get a text or something, I'm immediately
Out.
scrolling on Facebook 10 minutes later. And then I'm like, well, I was reading a fucking book. Like, how did we get away from this? So audiobook is just a great format for me. And if you read audiobooks, you're a reader. Like,
oh, 100%.
That's crazy.
I never got that argument with someone who's like, if you listen to audiobooks, you're not a reader. I never have had that argument. I wish someone would have the gumption to come up to me and be like,
yeah.
like,
I
come on.
feel like
I don't think a lot of people are going to come and argue with
No,
you
I
about
don't think so
anything, though,
either.
Jen.
I do feel like the majority believe that audiobooks are actually books, but because I'm on like a bunch of Facebook
Or
book clubs.
Book Talk is big too.
See,
It
I'm not
comes
on
up
Book Talk
Like
as
Book
much.
Talk, it comes up at least, I feel like, for anyone who else is on Book Talk, maybe they feel like this. I don't know if any
I
of
am.
you guys are. It comes up at least once a month that someone has said something really ignorant about readers with audiobooks or e-readers, or if you don't have physicals or whatever. And then like Book Talk just takes it and like swarms with it. And then that's all you hear for like a week. And then it goes back to normal content.
It's just such a mean girl thing to be like, oh, you're not a part of our club because you
It's
don't
such a
really
Regina
read.
George thing.
It really is. Like, it's, yeah, mostly I will say, like, if somebody posts about that on the Facebook book club or something, people are like, why wouldn't they count? Like, and people kind of jump all over them and say, like, you're wrong. And like, I don't mean to go crazy with it, but I do think it's kind of a little bit ableist because there are people with dyslexia. There are people who are slow readers.
There's moms. There's there's so many different, and also audiobooks. That was one of the fun facts that I learned when I was researching audiobooks. It was made and it should have clicked. So don't call me an idiot. It was made for people who were blind.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that is so neat.
Did
that
you know
we-
you can sign up to go do that, like locally?
I did not know
My mom
that.
does that because she's been on the radio, so she's got that voice, and she
I just never put
volunteers
two to two
for I forget what it's called, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
something for the blind in Lexington, and she will go and read like the
awesome.
newspaper and books and stuff so that they can actually get that form of
I could
media.
never.
So that
That
makes
looks
sense.
awesome.
I could never because like my
Yay, Holly's
speech,
mom.
but yeah,
Yeah, she's a good
kudos to
one.
your mom because that's so fantastic. But I really didn't know. Should have clicked. It didn't. I'm just, I guess, naive in that way that I just think audiobooks have just popped out of the sky like babies do. And
The stork brought them.
and I was just like, that is so neat to learn that like someone thought of the idea that said you want to read but you can't read. Let me fix that for you.
I never thought
Yeah.
about it either. And I mean,
Well-
yeah, I guess that makes a lot of sense.
I just thought it was
That's-
invented to torture children in schools too.
There's there's also like the literacy problem. Like
Mhm.
that
Oh,
is a
yeah.
huge issue still in the United States that people can't read or they can't read above a certain level. And just
Yeah.
because you can't read above a certain level doesn't mean that you can't understand and comprehend above a certain level.
Yeah.
And so it's unfair for you to be left out of reading books that the rest of your generation is interested in
Absolutely.
simply because for whatever reason, a lack of schooling, we live in a place that still has very rural places where children drop out of middle school and high school to take care of their
family.
families.
Yep.
And, you know, it's not fair to those people to miss out on reading just because somebody who is obviously privileged enough that they can sit down and read a book
Or has the money to buy all these
or has the
physicals.
money to purchase
Yeah.
books. And it's unfair for that person
don't
to
hate on my
say,
Kindle Unlimited. Okay?
you know, you're
No,
not
yeah.
reading or, you know, you're can't be a part of this because you're different.
Well, let's
And
take
that's
it.
not okay.
Yeah, let's take it to a personal level. I have a really problem with my speech. My speech is a big thing for me. I was in speech until I moved to Kentucky, and that was my junior year of high school. I did speech my whole life, and I struggle really hard with pronunciation, and I struggle really hard. I even tell you guys, like, sometimes I'm like, hey, you're going to have to read these notes because I can't, I'll fumble, and then I get embarrassed. And I don't get embarrassed very often. So I like the audiobooks because it will tell me how to pronounce something, or it'll like it just it's better for my mind. I do physical and I do audiobooks, but like I feel like now I'm more gravitating towards audiobooks because if I want to have a conversation, I'm not trying to sit here for 45 minutes and tell you how to say a word that I have no idea how to say.
Yeah.
So, especially with Sarah J. Maas, because her books are just, well, not just Sarah J. Maas, Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah,
I'm a very
anything
fantasy reading.
fantasy-based.
Yeah, I'm very
Yeah.
fantasy based, and that's where my reading is. And I have really gravitated towards doing both. I do the audio, and I'll have my physical book open, and I'll do both.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it just,
I'll do that sometimes if I know that like I have a period of time where I'm going to be in the car for a long period. Like I just finished One Italian Summer. I have the physical book and I read that when I was sitting at work on my lunch break, but I also listened to it in the car for 2 or 3 days straight. So, you know, it's one of those things where being able to have multiple forms of media. And then not only that, but like with ADHD, sometimes I can't sit down and concentrate on a book. But like Holly said, I can put it in my ear and go for a walk up the road with my kid. You know, we can walk a mile and I can finish a good chunk of my audiobook where I'm actually paying attention to it, but I can still be aware of my surroundings. Whereas I can't do that with a physical book. The minute somebody talks to me, I'm just setting it down. That's it.
Yeah.
So on that note, since we started doing this kind of like podcast and stuff, and my best friend Michelle, she has always said I'm not a reader. Like I'm not going to sit down and like listen to a book or like read a book, not listen to it. And I was like, you should really check out audiobooks.
Yeah.
Like if you just need something, like you can do it while you're doing the dishes, you can do it while you walk the dog, you can do it while you're cooking dinner for your kid, like whatever you need to do. And so she had another friend of hers suggest audiobooks as well. And so she actually last weekend was like, hey, guess what? I started an audiobook. She was like, I know it's not the same as reading. And I was like, no, it is.
Yes.
I'm like, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
And fun fact, Spotify has audiobooks.
yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know
Okay,
this.
but
Apple
hold
does
on.
too as well.
Let me pick a bone here with Spotify.
Go ahead,
You
girl.
have to be the main account holder to access those audiobooks. So where my
Gross
husband is
behavior.
the main account holder and I am on his like account, I can't access those audiobooks.
Well, they have
He
some
can access
free
them.
and some not.
Even the free ones, you have to be that main member.
That is nuts to me.
Yeah.
I don't.
That is really
It's really
crazy.
shitty.
I downloaded one, and I'm not the main account.
I don't know. It will not let me download the free ones. It tells me that I'm not the main account holder and that
So
I don't have access to it.
Basically,
Weird.
you're
That's
like
crazy.
asking Tara, like, why are you God's favorite?
Yeah, I guess. Must be
Maybe you
nice.
don't have Spotify Premium.
We do. We
No,
pay
I'm
like
kidding.
Oh, she's poor.
No, I don't pay for mine. My husband does.
fact,
So
I think I pay for it. So now I'm mad that I'm not the main
well, you
account
need to
holder.
switch that.
I know,
Switch
'cause
the
you-
main
I'm gonna have to
account
figure it
Does
out.
holder.
Scott even listen to audiobooks on Spotify?
No.
Well, then, yeah,
He
switch
just listens to podcasts.
Switch that shit around,
That's what I'm
babe.
saying. Like, I
But
want
I-
that privilege.
But also, let's. I'm gonna take off where you started or where you ended. We talked about this in Trust M's podcast, which if you go and check it out, you can. And you brought up that Scott, your husband, is he'll say the same thing to you, and
Yep.
you're like, you
He
sit down
tells
and read a
me-
book, or you listen to a book at work, a book a day, and you're telling me you're not a reader. Do you want to touch on that? Because like,
yeah, I don't know. He listens to like audiobooks all the damn time when he's in the car, when he's at work, and he reads like a lot of fantasy and a lot of D&D fantasy, and sometimes those are big chunking books. We're talking like 12 plus hour audiobooks, and he's like, yeah, like I don't read. And I'm like, you do fucking read. Like,
100%.
what do you mean you don't read? You can literally pick up. I mean, you've seen some of those books that he
yeah.
reads because he likes
Right.
to buy the like shelf trophies. Which I mean, I get it. I can't complain because same.
I
but
can't complain because
he'll buy the book that he likes, one so that he can loan it out to people who do want to read it. He's that type of person that wants to share everything that he loves. But
I
like,
love that.
if you can pick up this book and literally say, "Hey, let's talk about it,"
Yeah.
then what did you do? Like,
Yeah.
you read it. Like, you have that information in your freaking head. I'll keep going.
We have
but-
some really, really strong feelings about audiobooks. And so I think that it's great on getting into the discussion of audiobooks. What we like about them, what we don't. We have some bones to pick with Audible. Audible, we're coming for you in this fucking episode, man. I have some fun facts about audiobooks, if you guys want me to share those first.
Go ahead, girl.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So, I Googled fun facts. I do this for every podcast. I'm a little nerd. And I forgot, and did not write down the website for the first fact, but it's okay. I got off Google. It says audiobooks are how more than 45% of the American adults claim to have listened to or like read a book within the last year.
Yep.
And so that's wow. Yeah. That's awesome.
That's a huge percentage.
Yeah. And then my second fact is from the Publishing Post. It says 57% of audio listeners are people under the age of 45, with the largest individual growth being in the 18 to 24 age range. Which is
so even
so
younger
fucking
than
cool.
us.
Yeah, it really
I love
is.
that.
It's so cool.
I think with it being so accessible on different medias now, like you
Yes.
have Audible, you have Libby,
You have
you
Hoopla.
have Hoopla, you have Spotify,
What's
you
that
have
one that was Scribd?
YouTube,
Everand.
has some.
Everand.
Yep.
You have YouTube. You have Apple Podcast
Yeah,
or
Google-
Apple,
Google's the same
not
way.
Apple
You can
Podcast,
say
but Apple.
Hoopla.
Google
Yeah.
Store, yeah.
You
And
have
even
so
Kindle Unlimited
much.
now has audiobooks that go along with it. If you like pay for Kindle Unlimited, some of the books actually have audiobooks that you can download for free as well.
Kelsey
Yep.
Breeze.
That's how I'm
No
listening
idea.
to the What the Wind Knows. I only have 3 hours left, by the way.
It's so good, isn't it? Oh my gosh. Okay.
But yeah, I just think that it's so fantastic on how audiobooks come. But then you have Audible, who took audiobooks and flipped it to make profit.
Yeah.
And a really shitty profit at that. So
It is just so expensive.
it is.
So
$14.99 for one credit. And that's not plus tax because they tax.
Yep.
Surprise, we always get taxed. That's a different.
And like you
episode.
have access to their free library, but there's
it's
not a lot
shit.
of stuff. And I mean, some books that I read for free and fell in love with because I did have Audible at the time aren't even available for free anymore.
Yeah.
So like I'll go to recommend them to somebody and I'll be like, "Oh, they're free. Never mind, they're not."
It's like they
Because-
took the ones they knew were good and
Right.
were like, aha, we can make
Yes.
more money off
So
of these.
I was talking to Scott last time we recorded. I think he saw both of us, and he was telling us about an audiobook that he thought Tara and I would like. And he said he pays for 2 credits for $24.99. And that's what he does monthly because he reads so much.
He
And I was
does.
like, yeah, but that's 2 books. That's crazy.
Yeah.
For $24. And then like he told me a little hack, which I loved, and I can get to that
Yeah.
afterwards. So
Yeah.
I have a bone to pick with Audible. It
Well,
pisses me off.
and
And
I
I have
think-
Audible.
I think some should be half credits.
I
Like if I'm
Yeah.
reading it, that's definitely a full credit because that's like a 48-hour audiobook. But if I download a Pretty Little Liars that I can get done within 3 hours, it's I think that should be worth less. It should be a half a credit.
Well, and I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but if you look up the book on Audible and then you go to like the Google Books and like go to buy it from the Google Play Store or the Apple Play Store, it's cheaper
So some
on
of
the
them-
Apple Play Store.
So that's another one of my I don't like is they sometimes do Audible only.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that really pisses
Audible,
me off. Sarah J.
yes.
Maas is a good one
Because
that
it's
she did.
not as accessible
Mhm.
and you're
Yep.
cutting yourself out. Like I use Libby 99% of the time for an
and
audiobook.
Hoopla, I use Hoopla.
I
a lot.
have Audible because I just keep forgetting to cancel it. And I have like saved my credits because I am going to read her series on audio. I've
Yeah.
already gotten through the first book and I'm going to borrow what I can from the library. But like I haven't canceled yet because I want access to be able to buy those.
Yeah.
And so, but like, I'm like trapped.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I
also,
can't cancel
What
it.
pissed me off about Sarah J. Maas, she gave the first 4 in Throne of Glass
Uh-huh.
to not Audible only. And then she
Yeah.
finished the fucking series Audible only.
Yep.
And I'm like, what are you, why?
Is that series done? Or is there
Yes.
more?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
done.
done.
Okay.
But,
I wasn't
like,
sure.
It's stupid to me.
Yeah.
I think it's Audible only really pisses me off.
It does.
I'm going to play devil's advocate, not necessarily on the Audible
Ooh,
only portion,
a hot take.
but
I love this.
I feel like
Give it to me.
if you look, especially like if you get into like the cinematic audios
Uh-huh.
or even ones where they have multiple narrators,
Yeah.
regardless of where that media is getting printed from, your author has to get paid to sell the
Yeah.
work for somebody to put out. Then you have to have a publisher and an editor for the audio portion, and then you have to pay the narrators to read it, and that's a lot of time. Like so we actually had I think it was like Penguin House had like a job open for a narrator, and when I was looking at it, I was like, that is a lot of work they have to
Yeah,
put in. Like they
it
have to
is.
devote so much time.
Well, they got changed their whole
And
house too.
While I feel like,
Yeah. outfit
hey,
everything.
like sometimes I feel like audiobooks are expensive. I feel that because I'm like, man, I just want to get it real quick and I want to listen to it for the ease of convenience. But when you actually stop and think about how much goes into it and how many different moving parts there is
Yeah.
for that audiobook to be successful and to be published and put out for us to listen to, I'm kind of like, man, $12 for one audiobook, that's actually not that bad. If it's,
That's
7
fair.
to 10 hours, like I feel like I'm getting my money's worth.
What's it like to be God's favorite to think about others before yourself? Because I'm a selfish bitch. Okay.
Cheap audio, but
Damn. I didn't even think about all that. But now that you said it, it's a really good hot take because you do go into it. But then at the same time, it's like,
the library also
well, you
pays
picked your job.
The library also pays to distribute those copies, so like I think that's understandable and I have no problem. I mean, there are obviously audiobooks that I've paid for, but also I think that it's more shitty to stop halfway through. Like it's one thing
Yeah.
if that's the way it is and that's the way you're going to make it because Audible
you're
has made it
talking
more
like Sarah J.
accessible
Maas.
or whatever.
So I definitely think
But cutting
all
you in half that
audiobooks
way is
should
bullshit.
be full.
Yeah.
Because I have had some audiobooks that are like 25 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like one audible or one audiobook, and then I have some that are like, oh, this one's gonna be
Part one.
part 1 and 13, and I didn't realize that it was in 2 parts until I got to the end, and lucky me, I'd already read the book, so I knew. I was like, oh, that's not the end.
Well, I think too.
Well, and not a lot of I haven't noticed that other places. Like I've not found
do
a
you
book
mean?
from the library that I borrowed that was multiple parts.
oh yeah, the whole
Is
Actar
that a
series
thing?
is
Okay.
multiple parts, especially the dramatized version of
Yeah,
Actar.
that's understandable.
Or the drama. Okay, the version of the Boys of Tommen, I think, are two parts.
The first
Dramatized
one
one?
is.
Yeah, I thought so.
I've not actually. I didn't realize that there was a dramatized one. But
or multicast, whatever.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's just female for the girl.
Yeah, I
Point
guess
of
it's
view and
considered a
male
full
for
cast,
the
right? Is that
boy
considered
point
a
of
full-
view.
No,
full-
it's not. It's
No, full
considered
cast
dual.
is where like
You're
all
right.
the
Yeah.
characters
Yes,
have like
you're right.
there's like 6 or 7 people saying for different
Side characters and yeah.
But the first book of the Boys and Tommen was split into 2 parts, but then the second one was like a 32-hour audio, and I was like, well, why is that one not split?
Like,
I'm
yeah.
thankful, but it's kind of weird. But I think they realized where they messed up because none of the rest of that series so far.
Has been that.
Well, and
been that way.
also, I think where Hoopla and Libby are free.
Yeah.
and it has a lot of dramatized.
Yeah.
Red Rising is one from Pierce Brown.
Is that one good?
I don't know because now he's
Okay.
dropped all the dramatized and they're on Hoopla.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, I'm not going to pay him for Audible because have you noticed? This is the funny thing, okay? So when they go to dramatize, they go on not Audible only because it's from a different company than Audible. So then they come on Hoopla and Libby for free because we have library cards or whatever. Because Red Rising was an Audible only. And then it got traumatized and now it's on Hoopla. Because it was dramatized, so it was bought. And I'm
I
like,
get that.
maybe people are starting to like.
Well, I think that
feel a little
there's
salty.
probably to some extent, especially for like debut authors and stuff like that,
yeah.
you know, Audible probably offers like an easier platform to have access to. And I mean, that's understandable.
Or manipulative.
That's,
But
yeah. Well, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I feel like they definitely are a company that prey upon people.
Well,
but
see, okay, so I don't like that Amazon owns. Let's just get into this. I don't like that Amazon owns Amazon, Kindle Unlimited, Goodreads, and Audible.
I did not know they owned
Oh, yeah, and
Goodreads.
Goodreads
Yes,
is shit, and they
But
won't
that
do
makes
anything to
sense
improve
because
You
it
can link it.
always, yeah.
So
Because anytime
they
I start
own-
reading a Kindle book, even if I'm not really reading it, it's like, oh, she's reading it on Goodreads. I'm like, no, I'm not.
But see, they
Bye.
own all of that, and they can't fix. Which we're bitching about
crazy.
Audible. They're not going to fix Goodreads because they need us those fucking half stars. That pisses me off.
There's so many
And
things
Audible
wrong with
needs to be
Goodreads.
fixed because that's why they have so many sales. I think because
Yeah.
they're losing money and they're losing people
Yeah.
who listen because
There's so much
it's just
access.
expensive.
Well, and I know for a
Yeah.
while we were doing Scribd, and I ended up dropping Scribd just because I got to a point where I wasn't listening
What's
to
Script's new name?
Everand. I still have it.
But
It
you
does like
complain
it.
with
Yeah.
Everand, so
I've never had it.
Scribd allowed you an unlimited number of audiobooks from their catalog, and there was like a good catalog.
Yeah.
I think that's how Audible should be. You should
And
pay a
now-
membership fee.
Yes,
And let them
have
have
access to
their
it.
whole
Because
library.
it's like, what, 14, 12, something like that. It's
Yeah,
not very expensive.
It was like $11.99 or something,
Yeah.
so just a little bit cheaper than Audible, but your accessibility was more. Well, now that it's been bought out, and I had seen a TikTok about it and said something to Holly because I knew Holly still had it. You're limited to how many hours you're allowed to listen every month now.
Really?
Yep.
Yes, so you can only listen to so many hours of audiobooks,
so
and it will like cut
disappointing.
you off in the middle of an audiobook and be like, "You've run out of time."
Oh no.
I would
No,
pay-
That's terrible. What is
I've-
this? Let's all boycott.
Everand.
I've never had that happen in the middle of a book, but
Everand?
I've gone to go get another one, and it's like, oh, you're so close. You can't listen to another
How
one
much
for
do
like
you
10
pay
days.
for Everand?
That's a great question. Let me.
I think
pull
it was
up
$11.99 when it was
Everand.
Scribd.
Everand. Everand.
Sounds terrible.
So just to point on to Audible, and then I'll have someone else take the floor. If Audible would say, "Hey, readers, let's pay $25 and you can have full library," I would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
Because I just had to buy Kingdom of Ash because that's after the tandem read, and that audiobook was $25 on sale. 32 without the sale. And I'm like, bitch, I paid $18 for the fucking book too.
Yep.
So I'm reading a $50 book.
Yep.
So now I have it in my wish list because I'm waiting for my credit. So Everand, you said?
So what are you?
Yes. So
How much do you pay for it?
I pay $11.99, and it doesn't specifically tell me, but let's see if I go to their FAQs.
It has a 4.5 out of. I mean,
Titles labeled available soon. We love how much you love to read. However, we do have monthly limits. From time to time, you may see ebooks or audiobooks listed as available soon with a date. This means that based on your recent listening or activity, the title is not available until your catalog refreshes with your monthly next cycle according to your original subscription date.
seriously.
So you can still read, you can do the Scribd originals, Scribd Coach, and exclusive romance, as well as podcasts and magazines, but you can't listen to audiobooks.
I think that's
So it doesn't say there's a
shitty.
set amount of hours, so maybe they've changed that because it's never messed me up. But I have gone to see one and be like, oh, what's up with this? So
Maybe I need to download and play with it because I mean,
it's not bad. I don't hate it.
I don't know if I want to pay for another subscription. So I'll
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
just like
I
Libby
feel
and Hoopla
like
is where my heart is.
Hoopla has a lot. If I don't see something on Hoopla,
Yes.
I'm pretty
Hoopla
surprised.
are more readily available too. Like
Yeah.
Libby sometimes will have
Yes.
Is
crazy wait
Hoopla
times.
a paid for?
No, it's
No.
library.
No.
But the thing is, not every
show you.
library allows you access to Hoopla. So, like, the Jessamine
can
County
have my
Library
library card,
does,
but here's
but I
Hoopla.
don't know that Fayette County does. Like, my library card is linked up through Jessamine County. Fayette County doesn't have that option.
That's
Yeah.
another argument I want to bring up. Why is
Well, the whole
Libby
world where we live.
so bad about wait time?
Yeah.
The Hoopla, you can get any of them. They don't show you unless it's available.
Yeah.
And then with Libby, you get on there and their wait times are stupid and they're not consistent.
I've never
No.
waited for anything on Hoopla.
It pisses me
No.
off with well, no.
Well, and
that's the
Libby,
thing.
I'll have books that are like a 4-week wait, a 10-week wait, a
And then
22-week
they all
wait.
come
At the same
available.
time.
Yeah.
The one thing I do like about Libby is that it will let you like push your hold back 7 days. So I've been doing that with Swift and Saddled for like a good 2 months because I keep waiting to get some free time to see
need
if
to
you
read
all want to
it,
read
yeah.
it. So
I'm
like
down.
right now it's like it's available. Do you want to extend your
Do you like
hold?
that
And I'll
book?
tell them to deliver it in
haven't
7
read it
days.
yet, but the author has my name, so I bought it.
So
It's on
yeah,
Hoopla now.
I like that.
I know.
If you want to share,
The
libraries,
audiobook.
I'll give you my library card. don't know
I
if
just
that's-
signed up for the Harris County one.
Yeah,
'cause
you
I had
have
to
my
do that.
Hoopla,
Yeah.
don't you?
Yeah, because
I said I was
so
gonna do that.
did you see that the Harris County one that's in Texas? And
I
it's
need
so
to.
I couldn't find a certain one of the mangas we were about to read.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it, so they told me to get the Harris County, which is in Texas. It
Yep.
says you have to be a resident, but you don't.
Yeah,
So
they give
you
free
just
library
The
and
cards.
they
San
have a
Jose
lot.
Library
Does
in
it too?
California does it too because I have the San
Okay, I
Jose
need to do
Public
that
Library.
Did they change it recently? I
Broward
think?
County
Oh, yeah.
also does it. There's many different libraries that do it.
Well, and there are some that you can pay like $10
Kentucky
a
also
year
sucks
or something
as
like that.
a general to get audio.
Honestly, the
newer
weird
ones.
thing is I feel like Jessamine County's is almost better than Fayette County's. Like, I have more stuff available with my Jessamine County library card because the Jessamine County Public Library is part of a library system.
Yeah.
It's the Kentucky. Yeah.
Yes, which is multiple libraries. Fayette County is just Fayette County libraries. So if they don't have that book or they haven't paid
I
for
didn't
that
know
book,
that.
you don't have access to it. But I think like Boyle County is the same library system, Kentucky Libraries Unbound, as
Mercer
Jessamine
County
County is.
Yeah.
And so if that library has it, it's going to show up on Kentucky Libraries Unbound.
Yeah.
So it's
I like that.
like there's still a lack of accessibility depending on where you live.
Yeah. I just realized that Libby, you actually don't have to wait 14 days. You can put your hold to as long as you want it. So I can say deliver it again in 2 days, 7 days, 21 days, up to 180 days.
I just don't understand if
That's
the library
nice.
pays for it. Why do we have to have so many copies? Like you already paid for the audio,
But they
I-
pay
I-
per copy.
right? And I
so-
get that.
So they're
I'm just
only
saying, like,
allowed to release.
And I do notice, like, with Libby, especially, like, if it's a really popular book that's been
I
recent,
will say like your library attained
additional copies
Yeah,
or whatever,
yeah.
which is nice. And
acquired. I think
there's
it's
a hack
actual
that
word.
I saw on Instagram. And if I find it, or maybe it was TikTok, if I find it, I'll, like, repost it to the Lit Talkers. But there's a way, if your library doesn't have an audiobook you're looking for, to request that they get it.
Chrissy told me about that.
Yeah,
She
I
said
don't
you also
know.
can call and tell them, and they can request it off their computer as well.
Yeah.
Chrissy told me that because she was like, that's before I knew Sarah J. Maas was Audible only.
Yeah.
She's like, she called them and she was like, can we request these? And the library was like, no, because they're Audible only. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know you could do that. That was pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I think your library wants to make sure that everyone can read for free,
Mm-hmm.
and that you should have and that's the best thing about libraries.
So how do you all like the format of the Libby
Um,
audiobooks? Because I personally find Audible to be better in the format.
What do you? Can you like give me an example?
Hot take.
Like
I'm just wondering because
No,
like I'm not.
No, with me, because I was
Oh.
literally just talking shit about Audible before we started this.
no, that's okay.
Calm down, Holly.
I
Get your
am
claws-
calm.
Get your claws
So,
back
like,
in.
For me,
I'm
let
going
me
to
see if I
tag
can find
Audible
one.
in all
Like,
of this,
I
and they
have
can receive
had-
some constructive
I think
criticism.
Amazon's like,
you, Audible.
bitch, shut up. We are a monopoly at this point.
No.
Shut up.
So I have
own so
had
much.
I don't have anything at the Libby because I had to return it all. But like
I have a
so
thing on
I know
Libby.
when
I do
the last audiobook I listened to on Libby, like it just would like rewind to like the beginning of the book on me randomly.
Yes.
I've never
and just
had
like
that
different
happen.
little like kind of kinks
What's it like to
that
be
I've
God's favorite?
never that I've never had issues with Audible doing that. And those are the only two like forms that I've personally like listened to. But I will
I've had that
say,
happen.
and I like the scroll on Audible better. The little tick marks at the very bottom of the Libby like
Yeah.
screen for audiobooks, like it drives me
I'm
crazy.
not paying attention to that.
I don't
So
either.
I think that just being the person that I am, maybe Audible has more money they can put into it to make it fancier. Where Libby and Hoopla are like basically like this is library and we're doing this.
Here's the book. Have fun.
Yeah, have fun. Where Audible's like, Well, we have to make it a little fancy because you're paying out
Yeah.
the ass for
Right.
it anyway.
This is true.
So
May as well give you something.
But no, Hoopla and Libby. No, Libby's the worst about it, and it will sometimes sign me out of my Libby,
Yep.
and then I have to re-sign
That's
back
happened to me
in.
once or
And
twice.
I used to share a card with Christina,
Mhm.
and then I had to go get my own because it literally would sign me out so much. I'd be texting her and be like, "Hey, can you sign me
I
back
probably
in?"
need to take a picture of all my cards so that if I
I
get
literally
signed
have
out,
never
I
had a
know.
problem with any of them. It never
No.
like starts over.
Okay,
it never
well,
kicks me out.
You're out.
So
Tara,
everybody
what's
is
your
God's favorite, but you. I think you need. I think you need to.
Uh,
I already got 2 God's favorites today, so.
I mean, but and then Hoopla, I feel like Hoopla is set up better than Libby. Hoopla honestly is my favorite. If I can find the audiobook, I would rather listen to it on Hoopla than Libby.
I'd
I
say
don't-
Hoopla is my favorite. Like,
I don't go to Hoopla
Overall-
often enough.
well,
you
except
should
for
because
I'm
like,
going to now.
It's been, I mean, I have honestly found more books on Hoopla
Mhm.
than I have on Libby without a stupid wait time.
Yeah.
Libby gives me some of the stupidest wait times. Like I just put on hold one of them, and it's not ready. It told me
Mhm.
for like almost 300 days.
So Kimberly has said that same thing. So I tell Kimberly, "Hi Kimberly," whenever we're about to read something.
Hi, Kimberly.
I'm like, "Here's what we're going to read next month." And I like to tell her in advance because she'll be like, "Oh my God, it's like a 16-week wait."
was it?
And she's like, "Why are these books so fucking popular?" So I let her have my Everand. I don't know if she uses it or not, but like, when we did Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, because Everand does have a good amount of stuff on it. But like, when I was reading the Pretty Little Liars book I'm reading right now, I guess the audio's so like outdated or something, nobody carries it. So I had to buy it on Audible. And then I was like, damn it, I wasted a credit on this. But I couldn't not.
So I want to get into the hack that Scott told me about Audible.
Okay.
Can I
Okay.
do it? Okay.
Go ahead, girl.
Okay. So he gave me this hack, and now I've done it, and I'm like, wow, he's a fucking genius. So he told me the last time I talked to Scott that not to waste my credits on books that are like less than 10 hours long, and to buy additional credits. And
Because
like,
you can get 3 for like
right, for
$29.99.
$29.99, and that's $10 a book.
Uh-huh.
Instead of using a full credit for a book that's maybe 10 hours, and then I can use that credit for like Kingdom of Ash, that's like
Yeah.
32 hours.
Yeah.
And so I bought 5 after that. After we talked, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if this makes sense to me. So I went home and I was playing with it, and I bought 5 credits, and I was like, wow. I feel fucking
Yet
dumb.
he's not
I
a
bought
reader.
I
He
bought
knows
5
all
yeah.
these hacks and Audible
I bought
things,
5
but he doesn't
credits
read books.
on sale for like $40. That was less than $10 a credit.
Yep.
And I literally, that's how I got Empire Storm and Tower of Dawn. And that's how, because both of them were like $25.
Yeah.
Or a credit. And I was like,
Are those
wow.
split in half?
No.
Okay.
I'm literally switching between like Empire Storm for 1 chapter and then Tower of Dawn for 2 chapters, Empire Storm for 6 chapters, and then Tower of Dawn for 2 chapters.
How do you keep up on audio?
No, so I do. So if I like Empire Storm, I just got done with 200 pages of the tandem read, so I did that one like.
Oh, because on Audible you can set a stopping
Yep.
time.
Yes, you can.
Yep.
So
Oh.
So
It's like learning
see
shit.
other things.
and
I
also
know.
I do it with my physical book too. So it's not like I'm just listening to audio and just willy nilly. I'm actually have my physical book. So,
Yeah.
but he told me that hack, and I was like, wow, what a fucking genius. Because like now I have 4 credits that like I'm holding on to for books that.
Yeah.
Because he said that
You
most
hear that,
of the
honey?
time,
You're smart.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, because most of the time, if they're under 10 hours, he says they always go on sale like every other month, and it has came true
Yeah.
since I last talked to Scott.
Yeah.
And they're on sale for like $4.99. I can pay $4.99. That's
yeah,
fine.
for
Whatever.
sure,
Yeah.
100%.
So I'm just like, wow. So that was a great hack from him to tell me, because he's like, don't waste it. Don't waste your credit
Yeah.
on a book that
On
is,
bullshit.
because you're paying more for your 1 credit
Yep.
than you are for a bundle of credits.
Mhm.
And he said that's a waste of money. And I was like, bitch.
Oh, yeah.
This is bad for my husband. So thanks for that.
You're welcome. I'll remind him.
Does anybody have any like favorite audiobook narrators? Like, well, not narrators,
I have a
books, and then
set.
like least favorite.
Oh, I don't have any. I do have a least favorite. I have to get her fucking name.
Well, it doesn't even have to be a person. It can just be a book. Like, I don't
I
have
got
the
it,
names.
Oh, I got it
I
off.
have
the-
found that I love listening to audiobooks when they're set in like other countries
Yeah.
and the narrators have those accents.
Mhm.
Juicy.
That is, I think, my
Because you
favorite
said
thing.
What the Wind Knows is like that.
Yes, they
Yeah.
talk, and it's
Boys
dual.
of Tommen,
Yes.
too.
So you have
Because she's
the-
American and he's Irish.
but she's also
Really?
Irish, and she talks with an Irish accent
Really?
through part of it. So
When
there's
they're back in time.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
but then
It's
the male narrator, he's constantly in an Irish accent.
Mm.
And I just
Unrealistic.
I really love it. I've talked about it probably every episode. I loved listening to
Really
the
like
voice of
it.
Tommen.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
loved listening, even though I didn't finish it or understand it all. I love listening to everyone in my family has killed someone because the guy
Yeah,
was
that was
Australian.
fantastic.
For sure.
Yeah. That was good
And
audio.
I'm just like, it just brings a new level to the world that they've built for me,
Absolutely.
and I really love
I
that.
think the guest list
As
was
well
like
as having
that
dual.
too.
If you
What
got
the
a male,
Wind Knows
female.
was narrated by
Also free audiobook on Kindle Unlimited
Saskia
with the book.
Marliveland.
You all have told me something new
I'm
because
not
I had no idea.
sure.
Because I love Kindle Unlimited, but sometimes it's like, gosh, I just wish I could
And
listen
Will
to this because it's so much more
Dameron.
convenient.
So look, I just went and clicked to download it based on her Cassie's recommendation, and then literally I got an ad, and instead of buying an audiobook, it was like, here, enjoy this production from Audible
For Kindle
free.
Unlimited.
I freaking
Yes.
love that. I'm
And I
gonna
was
have
like,
to do some research.
Hey,
Well, so
now
I
it's not gonna sit
got
in my thing.
What the Wind Knows as a like first reads as an Amazon first reads, which they give you like a book from each genre kind of thing that's coming out like the previous month that you or the next month that you get for free.
Okay.
So that's a cool thing. If you're paying for Amazon Prime, make sure that you're
Which I
doing that every
am.
month.
I pay for everything.
I literally spend more being a reader than I did when I stopped reading. I feel like I spend so much money on fucking reading in general.
I try
And I
not to
love it,
spend
so
money
it's like,
unless I
it's
have
a
to.
hobby.
Yeah.
But like I'm just like, and then if I really like a book, I buy a shelf trophy, and
Me
then I'm
too.
like,
Or I buy the shelf trophy first, thinking I'm really
Yeah.
gonna love the book, and then I listen to it on Audible.
so
I do get rid of them if I don't like them. I just want to put that out there.
Oh yeah,
so.
I go to Half Price, or I do free little libraries and stuff. I will say one of the books that we talk about all the time is House in the Cerulean Sea.
So
Daniel
good.
Henning, chef's kiss to him.
Yeah.
He did so fantastic in that, and he does, I think, all of TJ Klune's stuff. I might be wrong with that.
I feel like he did Under the Whispering Door.
I'm going right now.
I didn't listen to In the Lives of Puppets. I did that one physical.
No, he did not.
He did not.
No, so
Oh!
House in the Cerulean Sea was Daniel Henning. Under the Whispering Door was Kurt, and I'm sorry if I'm saying these wrong. Kurt Graves, and
Okay.
then what was the other one? In the Lives of
In
Puppets.
the Lives of Puppets.
In the Lives of Puppets. By him, it was Daniel Henning.
Okay.
So,
Again, okay. That's the
but,
only
like,
one I
Under the
think I did
Whispering
on
Door was pretty
audio.
good too. I
Yeah,
thought it was the same guy.
I thought it was good.
So, but Daniel Henning, man, on The House in the Cerulean Sea, he did Chauncey.
Yeah.
He did Lucy.
And
Mhm.
yeah,
he
so
did. It was
Yeah.
fucking fantastic.
if I reread, I'm gonna have to do audio because I did the physical book for that one and Under the Whispering Door.
Did the
Audiobook
I
is
think
good.
no, and I think I did
Wow.
physical for In the Lives of Puppets too.
I did
Maybe
physical
that's why
for
it
In the
was
Lives
awful.
I
of
did
Puppets.
physical too.
Blech.
I did physical and audio for the In the Lives of Puppets, and the audio was very entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, story.
I
kinda
love a
just
good, entertaining
for me.
audiobook.
I wonder what Daniel Henning did not do in the
I
Lives
don't
of
know.
Puppets because he did his other two.
Daniel Henning, let us know.
I thought
Listen to the
narrator for it was
podcast.
great though.
Yeah.
Give us the
Yeah,
tea,
well,
man.
I listened to a sample of it, and he did the different voices.
Mhm.
So I don't know if maybe it was just because Daniel Henning maybe had something personal, or
Maybe wasn't available at the time.
yeah,
or,
maybe
yeah.
a different contract or something.
Yeah.
And but I think everyone who does, I think TJ Klune maybe has a say.
I wonder who's
I don't
gonna
know.
do. I wonder if he'll do
Somewhere
Somewhere Beyond the Sea
Ooh, I wonder.
It better be
Ooh.
Daniel.
I wonder if
Yeah.
we know that information
because we know those
already.
voices.
I'm about to look. Let's go to Libby.
What's your do you have any favorites? Not favorites,
So
casserole?
yes, and this goes back to the Audible free book.
Did you call her casserole?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I just want.
That's my name in the group chat, Jen.
I know this. I'm not stupid. I was just making sure I caught on to it.
So this will go back to the Audible free book thing. At the time that I had Audible like
And
regularly.
it's Daniel Henning.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Carry on.
So the time that I had Audible regularly before now, when I just resubscribed for Sarah J. Maas books, I was using their free books because I was driving an hour
What are
to
we talking
work.
about? I'm sorry.
my favorite narrator.
Oh.
Give me a second. So
She's leading up to it.
at the
I was
time
just making sure it was on the
that I
front
had
page.
this subscription that I was using regularly, I obviously needed more books because I was driving so far every day that I had 2-3 hours to be able to listen to an audiobook, and I could finish an audiobook in a couple of days that way. So I found, because they were free with the Audible library, Penny Reads books.
Mhm.
And that's where it all started. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you're not subscribed to Audible, you can still use their free Audible.
No, this was back when I was regularly subscribed. Yes.
Continue.
So I found her Knitting in the City series. And the Knitting in the City, I feel like most of those books are narrated by a couple different people, but one of those books was narrated by Chris Brinkley and Joy Nash. And I really liked the chemistry. So that was Ashley's book. So I struggled because when I started reading the Winston Brothers series, those are Ashley's brothers. And Joy Nash narrates most of the women in those books too. And I had like come fresh off that book going into the Winston Brothers series. And so I was having trouble when I first started it differentiating because that was their sister.
Yeah.
And I was really struggling. But they do most of the Winston Brother books as well, the two of them. In fact, I think Chris Brinkley might do all of them. I know Joy Nash does not do all of them because a couple of the characters are I think Hispanic, and so they have like actual narrators who have
Love
that
the rep.
accent.
Yes.
Yes, it is great. So the Winston Brothers series, the Knitting in the City series, Chris Brinkley and Joy Nash are just great together. They're great with other people. Penny Reads just great. Anyways, the other one, and I don't know if you guys have a problem with this or not, but when like a celebrity
Mm-hmm.
is reading the book, I don't know if that bothers you guys.
Can you give an example?
We touched on this in the last episode.
So you're thinking of like the guy who plays Mike off of Glee did
Yes.
Christina
Mhm.
Lawrence. Is
Yes.
that what you're talking about? Like,
Yes. So I don't know if
Okay.
you guys have an issue with that because I know that you and I talked about
Yeah.
like I had trouble because I knew
But
the
I get it.
narrator and
Yeah.
he wasn't that character. Like
you're right.
he was
he's
an
Asian.
Asian male
And- but it
playing
was
a
a
blonde,
white- yeah.
tan, white boy. And I had a hard time disconnecting
Yeah,
that. But then on the other hand, One Italian Summer that I just finished is narrated by Lauren Graham.
Gilmore
Oh.
Girls?
Yes.
Lorelai?
Yes.
Shut the fuck up, really?
And I had no
What?
problem
is this?
differentiating her. One Italian Summer, it's
Tim
like a
Curry
6.
also
I love
narrates
her
a lot
fucking
of
voice.
books.
Yes.
Tim
Apparently.
Curry.
And
He, you don't know Tim Curry?
Oh, I thought you
Tom
said
Hanks
Kim
does-
Curry.
No,
Oh,
Tom
Tim
Hanks does some
Curry.
too.
yeah, and so does
I
Will Wheaton. Will
love
Wheaton
Tom
does
Hanks.
a
My
ton
distant
of
cousin.
them.
Yes.
Thomas
Yeah.
Hanks.
One Italian Summer was like a 6-hour audiobook. It was the real sad one where the mothers died of cancer.
Oh, womp womp.
But it was really good. Like, I'm
Damn.
okay. I was able to separate things.
Trigger
so.
warning.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay,
I think that
so I did
needs
not
to
know
be-
Lauren Graham did that, but she does do her own.
She does her own, and I
So-
looked up, and there's maybe a couple other ones that she did, but I just wanted to touch on it because I was upset with not being able to differentiate the characters, but then I didn't have that trouble with this one. And so I don't know why.
I think that famous people, when they do this stuff, I think that we know there's more famous people than we realize that do audio because
Yes.
I think most of the audiobook narrators are animated voice
Yeah.
characters. Does that make sense?
Yes. My
Um,
husband is all about like voice actors for
Well,
like animation
yeah.
and stuff like that. And I mean,
Mhm.
he probably could name a list. Because,
Tom Hanks is one too because he's done mostly like he's a great actor,
Yeah.
but his voice is just phenomenal. Toy Story and everything else. And I know I was looking up audiobook
Yeah.
facts, and I was like, he does audiobooks. What
I
the
wonder.
fuck? I was like, I love his voice. And another one I wish that would do it is Morgan Freeman. I could
Oh,
listen
that
to
would
him
be great.
all fucking day.
Oh, let me
I-
tell you.
He would put me to sleep a little bit though. Like I
God,
would just
his
get in this
voice, though,
lull.
I
Morgan
love it.
Freeman.
He would be
I love
great in like a serious book or like as like
Yes,
a
or a
character.
thriller. Could you
Yeah.
imagine him doing a thriller book?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, you all. I'm going to have to get back into a series of unfortunate events
Yes.
because
yeah.
all of them are narrated by Tim Curry.
Yes.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Tara, you've just changed my life. Also,
You're welcome.
he narrated a Stephen King book.
Yes,
part of
he
it.
did. I
Nightmares and
saw it.
Dreamscapes.
Wait, Tim Curry is the one that plays it, right?
Yes,
Yes.
and Hexus, and he's in
And-
Clue, and he's Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
I was making sure I was
Oh.
putting the name with the.
Yes.
Yeah, he did. So, and Rob Lowe is in this, and Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh yeah, it's like a
Oh.
full cinematic one.
Let me see what you're looking at.
I just looked up Tim Curry audiobooks, and here's a whole list. And he did all of the Lemony Snicket books.
I love the Lemmy Snicket
I
books.
do too. Maybe
do
that's
too.
what I'll get into is my nostalgia now that I'm done with Pretty Little Liars.
Okay, so
There you go.
one narrator or one actor that I think I could not listen to if he was a narrator was Jim Carrey.
oh,
Is that
yeah.
one? Is he the one that plays Grinch?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think I could listen to him narrate a book because like I can't separate.
I think you could if you didn't know it was him.
I don't think you could not know it was
Because
him.
he
puts on so many
can
voices.
His voice can be like anything. I think he would
Right.
do good.
I think so.
But I think if you knew the name and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, the Grinch.
Yeah.
no, I love him. I just don't. His voice for me is so like you can just tell
Yeah.
it's his voice. But
So one of my favorite audiobooks is actually read by a celebrity. And I mentioned this in the first episode is Pet Sematary, my favorite Stephen King book. Or I guess not my favorite anymore, but one of my favorites was narrated by Michael C. Hall, who was Dexter. He was in 6 Feet Under. He's just been in a couple things that I love. And so when I saw that he did the audiobook for it, and I listened to this back in 2018 before I was even really back into reading, and I ate that shit up. So I really love that. I'd say my least favorite audiobook was definitely The Final Girl Support Group.
Oh, God,
because
that was
Grady
terrible.
Hendrix.
yes, because the girl who narrated it, she was like an older
Scary
horror movie film star, and she didn't do the accents right. She her cadence wasn't right. A Quart of Sugar and Spice was awful for me, just terrible. So I do think that can make or break a book, but I am so pleased that now I have things to really look forward to because I love Tim Curry.
Yeah.
that's awesome. Do you have any favorites? Or did you
Favorites
just
is I'd say I don't have favorite narrators, but yeah, my favorite one is Michael C. Hall.
Okay,
And then you all talked about, I loved House in the Cerulean Sea. Legends and Lattes was good. I do like a more dramatized version. I thought that
Can you tell me what the
the
cover looks
cowboy
like?
book.
Oh, Swift
Oh,
and Saddle.
Done and dusted. That
Done
one
and
was
dusted.
good. I just
That one was
like
good.
I do
The whole whiskey scene, I was like,
Oh, it was so good.
God.
Listening to that on audiobook, I think that's the first time I've ever sat down and listened to an entire book in one sitting.
Yeah.
I was finishing up doing some paperwork at work and I was like, well, listen to this while I'm finishing all this up. And then I listened to it the whole way home.
It was
And then
so
I got
good.
home and I went and I sat on my couch and I just continued listening to it. And then before I knew it, it was 2 a.m. and it was over.
Yeah.
That one is Aaron Shedlock and Stella Hunter.
They
Well,
all
did
start to
awesome.
sound the same after a while to me. I'm just like, this sounds like this person, and then it's never the same person. What are your favorites and least favorites, Tara?
I don't really know enough
Don't do a whole lot.
narrators
Yeah.
to I feel bad because I don't actually look at who's necessarily
don't either.
narrating it. However, I lost my place in the Akawar book.
No.
Kind of got out of it. So I was like, let me go do a refresher because now my husband is listening to, he's listening to Akatar, the first one. And so I was like,
Did he do it
well,
dramatized?
I told him he had to
Just making sure.
because they had a Court of Mist and Fury on Audible for I think it was $3.99, the
Yeah.
dramatized
Yeah.
version. And it's only half of it
Watch for those
though.
sales,
But I
guys.
got it and I was like, I'm just curious what it
The
is.
dramatized though
is
are on Libby and his blog.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Just FYI.
nice. No, so I looked up Swift and Saddled, and Teddy Hamilton does Swift and Saddled, and he's the one that did Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline. He
I've
also
never-
did Iron Flame,
Okay.
which I know you don't love, but he's done he did Fourth Wing.
What did he do?
Zayden.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But the
one chapter,
yeah.
3
Yeah.
pages is
Yeah.
all you get.
He's
I'll
done
have
a
to listen
lot.
But I think he
so-
would sound fine.
Yeah, he's
I
done
think
a
so.
lot.
I think
Wait,
that
is he
book's
the
just
same one that did Done and Dusted?
No,
He's
Oh, okay.
different.
which I like.
I
that they
do
switched.
because, like I said, I had that trouble going from
Yeah.
One
Ashley
book
and I don't
as
remember
another
her man's
character.
name. Yeah, because I kind of went straight into it and I was like, "This is the same person,
Right.
and that's their sister."
But I think it's the same series. I think if it's the same series following the same
People
person, leave
yeah,
the same.
That's fine.
Don't switch it unless
but if
they're
it
problematic.
changes, which I think a lot of them do.
My we touched on my favorite narrators before. It's Elizabeth Evans. She does Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah.
All of them. She's fucking fantastic. Her voice is just literally chef's kiss. One of my favorite though, and I was really shocked when I read it. It was from I think rec from you guys in book club. Was One of Us is Dead.
Oh,
And Elizabeth Evans, I knew right off the bat when it was a full cast of like 5
Yeah,
different women.
it is.
It reads from all 5.
I need to
And
listen
Elizabeth
to that
Evans was one of the voices, and I pointed it out as fast because her voice is just so, it's so good.
Mhm.
And that was one of my favorite audiobooks I've ever read. I actually recommend it to anyone who's getting into audiobooks to read that one. And it's a good thriller.
What is it
Yep.
again?
One of Us is Dead by
Okay.
Geneva
Rose.
Rose.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go make sure.
she has a new one out too.
Another one that you might, relate to is Caitlin Kelly,
What did she do?
Cruel Prince.
Oh yes, those
I
were
loved
all
her.
great. Is she doing the new ones?
She's done all of them.
Okay.
She even did the little novella. She's came back for all of them, and she's fantastic as well.
I love that. Yeah, she was great. I was gonna put her down on my list and then I forgot. So, well, I think that we
have not.
Oh no!
I think that we have not. Because I was talking about this, I never got to it. Tell me how far I am into this audiobook. I need a percent.
She's a problem with Audible.
Yes, that's my qualm with Audible. Is I'm like,
That's
That's
fair.
the
Why
one
do
qualm
I-
you have with Audible.
that's the biggest qualm I have because I
because
like to go
percentage?
update my Goodreads by every fucking percent I read, and I don't want to have to do the math on Audible because I pay this much money. Hoopla and Libby both tell me, and Everann tell me how far I
They
am
do.
into this book percentage wise. So what I have to do with Audible, because I'm such a crazy bitch, is I have to download the ebook from somewhere for free and skip to where I am in the audiobook and see what percent I'm at. Because I'm insane.
That's just too much.
Why
like
don't you
math
go
is
on
so
Google?
much
Too much.
easier.
Why don't you go to Google and say, "What is this?" Blah 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 blah, and do the math that way.
Because I don't.
Just text it to me and
Shut
I'll do the
up.
math for you.
I have almost done that. Been like, are you reading this? Like, tell me, because I just want to know, and it bothers me. Audible is the only place that does that, and yeah, sometimes I can do the math, but then I have to go back to the regular speed and then do all the division. I am not a math girly. The math
Smooth
is
brain.
not mathing. Yeah, so I would rather just download it.
text me.
But then sometimes, like, the book on Goodreads is longer or shorter than the
Yes.
books that I have to add and subtract because I want to be exact.
Yeah, isn't
Oh
that
my
crazy that
gosh.
Amazon owns all this stuff and they can't get their shit together?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it can't all be
like,
equal.
why does Goodreads go down all the time?
I have found
why is
two
it so hard to
different-
find your friends and to look people up? Like,
Yes.
it's fucking crazy, bro.
Yeah.
It's
I
because the
found, too,
monopoly.
that some books have like different publishing
Houses.
houses for the same book, and like so one you'll get certain chapters in, and that's not necessarily in the first print run
Yep.
of the book, or the first one's way too long and they'll cut things
And
out
who
for
knows
a
what the
second
fuck
print.
Goodreads use?
Because
I guess
and
the Amazon
sometimes
version.
the audiobook
It
is based off
does.
your first print and it's way shorter than what you're reading, and so it's really hard to like navigate because I'm like they update all the covers, so you never know which one you're
Yeah.
listening to versus reading versus trying to track.
I just need some consistency. Please.
I just want to point out one more thing. I know we're over
No,
time.
you're fine. I'm not worried about that.
I feel like Goodreads needs to go through and, like you said, like delete all the duplicates.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because I get so mad because Legends
Yep.
of Lattes has like 3 different ones.
Yep.
And it says I've read one but not read the other. And I'm just like, that's
Too
stupid to me.
much.
And I wish where Amazon owns them all, if Amazon listens to this, put the ratings that Amazon users give books
Onto
into
Goodreads.
Goodreads.
Yep. It all needs
Foxtel?
to connect.
Foxtel that you're reading, that we're reading for
Yes.
book club, it has like 1 review
Yeah.
on Goodreads. On Amazon, it has like 14 to 20 reviews.
Really?
Yeah, why? You own the same thing.
Yeah,
it's
it should
literally
port
a
over.
it's a code that you have to do.
And-
It's a code.
And by that note, they should also just make the Audible automatically convert to your Goodreads
Yes.
Fuck,
as
Just
you're
like
doing
Kindle
it, like they
does.
do with Kindle.
Yep.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Let's do
It
let's do
does
Amazon.
if you get the Kindle Audible connector
Connect.
thing,
Mm-hmm.
because it's been updating the What the Wind Knows that I've been listening to. I opened like to page 1, read 1 page of it, and then I just have been listening slowly to the rest, and I see it's like you're at like 79%. I'm like,
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and these are
Whoa.
all third world problems.
Yeah.
and we
First world
we
problems, yeah.
oh yeah, first world problems. Yeah,
but
sorry,
we want to track
Um,
efficiently.
my apologies.
You're fine. What would the podcast be without me correcting you on
I
something?
know. It's just
We almost got one.
yeah. Almost.
I do. Before
Almost.
we wrap up, I do want to point out that we are on Goodreads as the podcast. And if you
Yeah.
ever are listening to an episode and you're like, how am I going to keep up with all of these books? There are lists on Goodreads. If you find our Goodreads on if you find the Lit Talkers on Goodreads, our group, there's
Why
literally
did you correct her?
a discussion that is called Listopia, and it has a list that breaks down by episodes every single book that we talk
I'm
about.
really not God's
So
favorite in this
never
podcast.
feel like you can't
You
go
really
find
weren't.
that and find out what books we've talked about. So
Yep.
unless anybody else has something more to say,
Well, I think we've just about wrapped things up.
Thank you for listening to us, bitch. Hopefully you can relate to some of these that, and audiobooks are reading.
yep.
That's our biggest
All
thing.
reading is valid. Reading.
And what's your favorite media to listen on?
Yes, let us know.
Yeah. Tell us. We'll put a poll
could
up
be
on
all of it.
Instagram when this episode comes out.
I think we're
but
all audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
we all do. Yeah.
So
And we hope that this episode has made you all feel more seen and that it's
Accepted.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're all in this together.
and that everyone hates the non-half stars on Goodreads.
Oh, yes, girl.
Yep.
Queen.
Okay, really, that is about it.
We'll see y'all again in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening.
Yep. Bye.
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 Bye.